Welcome to Slipstream Shaman, Quantum Healing and Beyond. The primary focus of Slipstream Shaman, Quantum Healing and Beyond is teaching people to use their natural abilities in quantum healing. This is an opportunity to enter the quantum realm and develop your metaphysical gifts, expand your energy to improve your life, your community, the planet, and beyond. In addition to quantum healing, Todd will cover many fun topics such as Bigfoot, UFOs, near-death experiences, ghosts, shadow people, and many others. Todd has a lifelong fascination with alternative healing, consciousness, expansion, and the human potential. Now, your host, Todd Wilcox.
Good afternoon, everybody. As you can see, I'm in kind of a funny studio today. I had to put up some things to make it, we'll call it festive. So we're going to pretend that this is a Christmas, where am I at? That this is a Christmas tree that's behind me. It looks enough like it. It looks like there's some lights, and with my slow internet connection, it kind of looks like a tree. So that's what's going on today. I'm in a remote location. You may hear some leaf blowers. You may hear some lawnmowers. Really picked a great spot for today. So we should be in a better spot going forward, but this is fun for today. So I want to thank everybody that was on last week that's on again today. I appreciate you coming back. And then also thank all the new listeners that are out there as well. Hopefully this will grow and grow and grow and help a lot of people, and it'll be a wonderful thing for people. So thank you everybody that's on the show. I do appreciate that you're here, and this is for the listener. So thank you, and we'll continue. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today, actually before we get started on that, something I notice as I'm looking at my face talking here on StreamYard is that when I look at myself, I have black eyebrows, a gray beard, and gray hair. Why are my eyebrows still black? And why can't my beard stay black? That just doesn't seem fair at all. I'd rather have gray eyebrows and a black beard. That would make me look younger. But thankfully, even though I do look old, my immaturity level balances it out, so I seem younger than I am. So I'm just curious if anybody knows why my eyebrows are still black. You can help me out with that. Holiday season. Now, there's going to be people that watch this in 2 or 3 years, and it might be summertime. They won't know what I'm thinking. But when we're recording this, it's almost December. Thanksgiving's over. All that fun stuff with Black Friday's gone by. And people gear up for Thanksgiving. They're so excited about the holidays coming. They want to really have fun. And hello, Caden. Thank you for joining us. They want to have a good time. Thanksgiving hits, they have fun with their relatives, and then they go out and fight the crowds in Black Friday, and it's all kind of downhill from there. I would like to just encourage people as they're out and about doing things. Let's be extra nice to people, whether it's on the road, letting that person come over that we wanted to not let come over, whether it's in a restaurant, being nice to the waitress or waiter that's trying to keep up, even though 2 of their companions have called in and they're doing way more than they should. Let's be nice to the cashier and the people at the stores. They're there. They're the ones that showed up. There's a lot of people calling in still that we should be upset with, but who gets it? The ones that show up. So let's be extra nice to those people, and really make this a nice holiday. See if we can't make this the nicest holiday. What if we were all nice to everybody every time we went out? What would that do to the vibration rate of the earth? If just the United States started acting a little nicer to everybody, what would that do to the vibration of the earth? That would really up that frequency, leading us to a much better place, much nicer time. So let's be happy when we're out there. And today we're going to have a guest in the second hour. Hopefully he will show up. His name's Ron Johnson. He's a friend of mine. I've known him for years. And he is writing a book. He's getting a website opened up. I'm not sure if he's going to do a podcast or not. He may be doing that, but he's a great guy. He's been involved in a lot of things. He's a UFO contactee. Actually, he instead of contactee, he prefers to say abductee because he didn't volunteer. Things have worked out better for him after that, but at first it was not a good experience for him. He, like I said, he's writing a book. He hunts Bigfoot and has seen Bigfoot, and then he does a lot of paranormal ghost adventures, looking for what's going bump in the night. And he's one of those guys. He will go to a remote location, highly weird location, uncomfortable location, that I typically would want to have 2 or 3 people with me, but he'll just go there by himself and sleep, and nothing seems to affect this guy. He just goes to the areas that most people find extraordinarily creepy, and is a part of it. So I think you'll enjoy it. He's been on my radio show, My Side of the Universe, multiple times, and he's a lot of fun. Caden, I hope he's on. If he's not on today, he will be. He's a great guy, and we'll probably talk about it when I'm talking to him. But he showed up at a store that I was managing in his hometown of Price, Utah, and he heard that I was doing a radio show, and he says, "Hey, here's what I do, and here's a list of people you can get on your show." So he was such a good guy. He started introducing me to all kinds of people for my radio show. And in that first year of the 50 shows that we did, probably 20 of them were because Ron referred me to the people. And then 2 or 3 were Ron, and he has since gone on to be the highest volume guest that I've ever had. He's been on the most. And he's the first guest on this show. So you're going to enjoy Ron. He's just one of those good guys. So that's going to be fun. We talked briefly last week about Poly-Medela, which is many healings. And that's a big part of the book, Slipstream Shaman, using quantum healing for individuals, community, the planet, and beyond. Shameless plug for my book. And as you're looking at that picture, you can see the hands right here with the energy. And that's really what my energy looks like. So when I'm talking about creating your energy, that's what mine looks like. Yours may look completely different. It might be streamers. It might be just a dull glob. It could be something that vibrates, something that has a lot of movement. It could be any color. It could be cool. It could be hot. Mine is very cool, but many of the people I work with have warm to hot energy. So however your energy presents itself is fine. Don't try to change. Don't try to force anything. Your energy is your energy, and it's all wonderful. It's all beautiful energy. So don't think you're doing it wrong because yours is different than mine. If you're interested in learning more about the process that I use to do the healings, you can get the book, Slipstream Shaman. Just either search Amazon for Slipstream Shaman or go to my website, Slipstream Shaman. I've tried to make it consistent. And there's a place to get the book. There's also a place to email me on slipstreamshaman.com. If you want to get a healing, that's a good place to go. Send me an email. Don't tell me too much. Keep it as basic as possible. The more I know, the more my physical brain tries to take over, and then it's not what we're after. We want this to take place in an area of spirit and energy. So the less I know, the better. But just give me a big picture view of what you're hoping to accomplish. And maybe you just say something like, I feel sick all the time, or my energy is not what it should be, just so I have a basic idea of where we're going. And right now, I'm about 6 weeks behind on those. There has been a huge avalanche of people requesting healings. I don't charge for the healings, and I don't ask for donations, anything like that. They're free of charge. But please understand, it's going to be a while before I get back to you. I'd also like you to encourage you to go to Instagram under Slipstream Shaman. Follow me there. That's where we're going to post the new things that we do. so that you'll be updated the fastest. I can do that very easily. The website, I have to go through another person, and so it takes a little longer. So the very first information you're going to get on new things will be through Instagram. So be sure to go there and follow me, and I'll follow you back, and you'll know about everything we're doing. So today we're going to do Poly-Medela. And what that is many healing. So when I do a Poly-Medela, it's going to affect a lot of people right now, and then in the future, and probably even in the past. So people watching this 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, will be able to access it just like we are now. They'll be right in that same energy. They'll be a part of everything, and they'll be able to feel it just like we do. Time doesn't matter in the quantum field. Once you get into the quantum field in your quantum room, you'll find that that time behaves differently. And that's going to be the same with today. So it's going to help a lot of people today. This is going to radiate out and help a lot of people. And it's also going to help people as they read it later. And it'll probably go into people's pasts and help them as well. The other thing I like about what we're doing today is that you're going to see what my process is. Now, instead of writing things down, I usually have to take notes so that I can pass what I did on to the people I was doing the healing with. Because my brain, my human physical brain, isn't able to hold the memory of what takes place in a quantum healing. It loses it very fast. If I look at it, if I read about it later, or if I watch this in a year or two, I will have memories of it, but to just access it without seeing these kind of things or reading my notes, it just doesn't happen. It's gone. It's amazing to me. I can read notes from 6 months ago or 5 years ago on a healing that I did. And it's amazing to me that I don't remember it until I start reading it. So that's just the difference between the physical world and the quantum world, where you're in energy and spirit. So I've got 3 notes that I put down for Poly-Medelas. Maybe we'll do all 3. The first one is holiday happy. The second one is stop and breathe. And the final one is allow love to come to you and to share love. We're going to start with holiday happy, and we'll just go in the order that I said, unless those of you viewing want to leave comments and you would rather have allow love to come to you and share love to go next. If you want to change it, let me know. If I get a bunch of people saying change it, we'll do it. If not, we'll go in the order I said and get to as many of them as we can before Ron calls in. So as I do these healings, the first thing I do, and this is all talked about, the process is talked about in the book. First thing I do is find my energy. So I start bringing my hands together, looking for my energy, finding the energy. And Caden, thank you. You're very, very active today. I appreciate that. Finding my energy, feeling it in my hands. And as I start to feel the energy, I close my eyes and I let the energy completely cover my body. And I go to the place that I call my quantum room. What my quantum room looks like is, if you can imagine being in the center of a storm cloud, of a dark storm cloud. It's just undulating mist moving around me, and I can't see out of it. Things will walk through the mist to me, but I can't see out of it usually. Sometimes it'll open. And then something that just started recently is there is a part of the quantum room that is open, so I can walk out of it into this field. And I don't know why this field came to me. I must have needed it. It's something the universe told me to have. And you guys, I have my eyes closed right now. And so I'm not going to be answering a lot of the questions that you have, but I will once I get back from this quantum state. I have to keep my eyes open. So I'm going to tell you what I see and what happens where I would normally make notes. And so I don't know, I'm curious if my voice will change. I might speak in a different cadence. It's really hard to say. But I'm going to start on this now. So I'm in my quantum room, and I want holiday happy to happen. I want the bad feelings that people are having right now to dissipate, the frustrations of going out into heavy traffic, to going to stores with heavy people, to trying to get things online and having it out or take longer than anticipated. Maybe it's a frustration of seeing family that they don't want to see. Maybe it's a frustration of work gets worse during this time of year. But how do we get to the holiday happy? So I'm just going to allow something to come to me that represents holiday happy, and I'll describe it to you. Okay, so what is in the quantum room with me is just an outline of a person, kind of a big person. It's large, kind of like everything's big on it, over exaggerated, like a gingerbread man, sort of like a big gingerbread man, but it's just an outline right now, just a shape. And that's what's come to me as holiday happy. And as we do the Poly-Medela, it could change to something else. It may look different when we're over. So what I'm going to start with is invite the warrior team in, and that's usually dogs. So I'm just going to invite them who wants to help with holiday happy. And as usual, the first thing through is Desi, the beagle. And if you want to see what she looks like, if you go to YouTube and go to my channel, you'll see a video where I show pictures of Desi. Beautiful little beagle, ferocious, loving, wonderful little dog. She's the first one through. I'm getting my other dogs, a couple cats, and these are animals that I've had in the past. Horses are here. A rat that I had in college is here. There's a giraffe that started helping. The giraffe is the only thing that comes in that I didn't have some kind of a background with. It just wanted to be a part of it. So the animals that help and the people that help me at times, they've all passed away. Every once in a while, my current dog, Hobbs, will show up to help. And before him, when Calvin was still alive, he would come to help. But most of the time, it's animals and people that have passed away that come to help with this. So I've got my warrior team is assembled, and they're going to with this shape that's representing holiday happy. And Desi starts at the feet. She's really interested in the feet. And she's digging on one foot. The other dogs are digging on the other foot. And they pull out, each side pulls this thing out that looks like, if you know what tack strip is on a carpet, it's what they put in the corners to hold the carpet down. It's a real thin wood that has nails sticking out of it. And then it also looks like there might be like some barbed wire wrapped around it. It's kind of a menacing thing that they pulled out of the foot of holiday happy, of both feet of holiday happy. So we've got those out of this representation. And now I'm going to invite the love team in. And the love team consists of several dogs that I've had, a cat, an ant, and a couple other people. And what they do is the warrior team finds problems. The love team heals them. So we've pulled those two sticks that look like they're covered in barbed wire out, and we're letting it second. Now I'm going to take my energy and just hit those two stick barbed wire things with energy and clean them up. It's called debriding. For those of you that have been unlucky enough to be burned, that's when they pull the skin off, and cleaning up wounds is debriding. Debriding these things because they started as something positive and have changed. So we're going to debride them, and then the love team is surrounding them now, and they're going to fill these two things with love. And the love is healing these things. And this is the things turned into. Normally, it'll be a tree or a pond or a butterfly or something that can move sometimes. Usually something in nature. And this is just how they're showing me how they represent themselves. It's their energy. These things have actually converted into a group of people. And it's little kids, it's teenagers, it's adults, it's older people, a big group of people. And they're just kind of looking at each other, smiling. And now they're hugging each other. And they're dispersing, they're trotting away. So that this is what is called a companion. It started out with something that was a positive intent, and somehow became something that hurt us. If you think about, an easy way to think about it is, say your arm hurts, you're 5 years old and your arm starts to hurt on the muscle. And so you tie a rope around your muscle and it feels better. That pressure makes it feel better. What if you left that rope on for a year? What if you left it on for 5 years, 10 years? Now that's gone from something that was helping you to something that's hurting you. And that's what many of these companions are. And we have these companions on us. So what we're doing is releasing them from their original work with Holiday Happy to go be what they want to be. They become something that appears to be hurting Holiday Happy's feet. I don't like to interpret, but that's what it felt like to me, is that sore feet, painful feet. And removing those things makes the Holiday Happy representation feel better. And now that energy is released, it can go do whatever it wants. I believe that they go out and try to help somebody else. It's always a positive intent with companions. They're wanting to help. It's energy that we put in a place to help us. And then over the years, it becomes something that holds us back or even hurts us. As I'm letting this all happen, the dogs are now sniffing around the knees of Holiday Happy. And they're pulling out. It looks a little bit like gelatin from the knees, and but it has fibrous streamers coming out of it. It looks like gelatin, but fibrous streamers. And we lay that on the floor. We debride that gelatin looking stuff. The love team comes in, sends it love. And it changes into what looks like a field of. It's not a plant that I've ever seen before. It looks a little bit like asparagus. It looks a little bit like corn, but not exactly either one. And it's probably 2 feet high. It's a field of something. I'm not sure what that is. If it's something that grows on another part of Earth that I'm not familiar with, or if it's something on another planet, or if it's just how it wants to represent itself. That gelatinous mass has become a field that looks like it's really healthy and strong and growing and happy. And it just disappears from me. Some things fly away or walk away. Some just disappear. Some look like they melt into the ground. This one just kind of disappeared. And now they're really looking at the stomach of Holiday Happy. And Desi's right side of Holiday Happy, just to the right of the belly button. And she pulled out a rope that has a fish on the end of it. And again, I don't know what these things mean. The energy is representing itself. It's showing what's there. It's showing this to me, and I don't know why. I don't know if it has meaning. I try not to interpret it. I just let it be. So we're going to bride that, give it energy, clean it up. And I'm curious, as we're doing this, and now we're going to give it love. This time it just becomes like rays of light leaving the fish and the rope, going up into the sky, rays of light, until it's all gone. Just kind of broke down into rays of light and flew away. I'm curious if this is resonating with anybody. Can you feel it? Are you feeling it in your feet, your knees, or your stomach? Are you feeling happier towards the holidays? Are you feeling happier about where we are right now? And seem to be done with Holiday Happy now. And so what we're going to do, the companions have been removed. And now we're going to debride this representation of Holiday Happy. We're going to give it energy, clean it up. And now the love team is going to surround it and just infuse this with love. And it's changing from the physical shape of a man into a very large white bird. And when I say large, I mean like bigger than a man. And instead of having a terrifying beak, it does have a beak, but it seems to be smiling. The eyes seem to be happy. And it flies off. That's what it looks like when somebody asks me to do a healing. And I'll make the notes, I'll type up the notes and send that to them, and I let them interpret it. It's not for me to interpret, it's for them to interpret. So your interpretation is fine. I'm very curious if what you felt, if anything changed for you while we were doing this Poly-Medela. And as you listen to it, even in the future, that it could be 2 or 3 years from now, how did it affect you? What changed? Even if you're listening to it in March, what did it do for you? I did a very strong one not too long ago on road rage, and it made a gigantic difference in my life, and a gigantic difference in how I perceive what's going around me when I'm driving. So these things are wonderful, they're powerful, and they're all about getting things to return to their natural state where they should be. We'll talk a little bit about some of the things we find in addition to companions. We also have parasites and then other worldly things that we find. Mostly what we find is a companion. So I think it's a good time for us to take a break now. I need to take a breath, and these things kind of take the energy out of me. So we are going to go to break here in just a second. As soon as Todd is ready to, there's 2 Todds on your show. That's how cool this show is. As soon as Todd's ready to take us to break, we can head out. So Todd, thank you. We'll go ahead and take a break and be back with more Slipstream Shaman in a few minutes.
Certified psychic medium Stephanie Lynn creates an authentic connection between the living and the spirit world. Stephanie knows she is here to help heal, educate, and provide validation that there is more after death, and allows herself to be a conduit and work as a team with spirit to pass on messages from their world to ours. Stephanie Lynn also works as a spiritual life coach to help you achieve, create, and manifest your best self and life. Looking for help communicating with an animal? Searching for a past life regression therapist? Or dealing with a paranormal experience? Stephanie Lynn is here to help. For a list of full services, visit her on Facebook under Stephanie Lynn Spirit Sensitive. That's Stephanie Lynn Spirit Sensitive.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Slipstream Shaman, Quantum Healing and Beyond. What you just witnessed was what it looks like when I'm doing a healing. Sometimes they take 5 minutes, sometimes they take 15 or 20. They're usually not very long, but they take a little bit of energy out of me, and that one was no exception. It beat me up a little bit. So I'm just looking through some of the comments here. And Caden, I'm not sure if it's my Akasic room or not. It may be. I don't have access to a bunch of records, so it may be, or it may be a step towards that. I'm not really sure. And your next comment is so your guides, and I'll tell you about the different guides I have. I have a high level set of guides. There's 3 of them. One I can see very clearly. The other 2 are in a different realm or just slightly out of phase. I can see the outline of them, and they vibrate quite heavily. And so I'm starting to see glimpses of them, but it changes so fast. I really don't know what they look like for 2 of them. Below them, and I hate to say below because they're all very powerful guides, but that's just how they stack up to me as I look at how they help me. Below that is my animal spirit guides. And I have 2. One is a bull elk, and the other one is a female Sasquatch. And I feel very honored to have a Sasquatch as one of my guides. I feel honored to have the bull elk as well, but very, very wonderful experience having a Sasquatch, especially a female Sasquatch. I never considered Sasquatch being female for some reason. I always thought they were just male. But a female Sasquatch spirit guide came to me, animal side. And then below that, we have the nuts and bolts workers, the people, the dogs and people that come in and help with the warrior team and the love team. And then what we would normally do, the only difference between this healing and the ones that I would do for people is after the love team fills the person with love, then we would bring in the 7 generations. So 7 generations from their past, 7 generations from their future will come in, surround them, and give them whatever they need. Usually it's all about love, connection, protection. But it can be anything they need. Sometimes these 7 generations are very active. They're jumping up and down or dancing. Sometimes they're just holding each other, getting in a big group hug. Sometimes it's a circle, and they're all just spinning around, and so it's different every time. And I look for symbols, I look for colors, I look for different things with that 7 generation group that I can pass on to the person I'm doing the healing for, and I don't try to interpret it. That's for the person that I'm helping to decide what it means. And then Caden, it says, excuse you. And so I don't know if I made a funny noise. I don't know if I burped or something. But I'm not sure what I did there. And then the next question is, did you train with a tribe for your shamanism? So I was on a paranormal team. And when you do paranormal work, you end up at some of the same places as other paranormal groups. Sometimes it's to help guide tours, to help an old building stay open. Sometimes you just end up at the same house. Sometimes you end up in the same field. Oh, okay, I coughed. Yeah. Well, one thing I can tell you, I was just reading a thing that was saying COVID, flu, and some other illness, and all the things that break down. And I was laughing because coughing is just normal standard procedure for me. So yeah, unfortunately there'll be a lot of coughs, but thank you. I like that. Thank you for recognizing it and helping me excuse myself. Unfortunately, there's going to be more. So you get to know different groups. And one day I got a call from a lady in another group, and she invited me to join a team that was going to be I don't want to call it a super team, but it's going to be a team above our normal teams. And this would be a team that would go help people that nobody else could. So if somebody was having a ghost problem, what they thought was a demon problem, anything like that, we would go and help if other groups couldn't. And I said, yeah, it's great. I want to help. Helping is all about who I am. But how do we do it? How do we help that person? Because chances are our group's the one that didn't help. So what are we going to do that's different? And we get together and we start talking about how are we going to be different? How are we going to go help people? And the people had lots of different ideas. And one of them was to bring in a shaman to teach us how to protect ourselves. And we brought in a shaman, and as she was teaching us, and I believe she was from the Shoshone Nation, the Western Shoshone, but I'm not positive. She was teaching us how to access our energy, and she was holding her hands together like I was showing earlier, and you start feeling the energy between your hands. And she was describing, she was saying something to the effect of, it's going to look like an orange. It's going to be about the size of a big orange, and it's going to be hot. Well, mine was not that. Mine was a light blue color, and it was very cool. And the farther in this training we went, the less I aligned with her. And so I backed out. I disengaged from the training because I didn't want to interrupt it for anybody else there, but it was not ringing true for me. And one of the things I talk about in the Slipstream Shaman book is if I'm teaching you something that doesn't feel right, doesn't feel true to you, it's okay to change it. Adjust it until it does. Once it resonates with you, you're on the right track. One of my favorite movies is A River Runs Through It. And the dad taught the kids how to fish, how to fly fish using a metronome. Those things that are on the piano going back and forth to help you know what speed to play. And he wanted the kids to have a certain rhythm with their casting. And they did what the dad said. They learned the basics and went out and fished with him and had success. But then one day when they were fishing, the younger brother breaks away, finds his own rhythm, and is very successful with the fish. And that's what I hope everybody does, is find their own rhythm, find their own way. Like I said, my energy started out as a light blue, and it was like a ball. It looked like a ball. What it looks like now is what I showed you on the book. It's amazing how close the artist got to what my energy looks like now. And I don't know why it changed. I don't know what the change means, but it changed from that light blue color to something like looking at a sparkler, something like shining light through a diamond. It's that kind of color. There's multiple colors, and it just kind of radiates. Some of the people I've worked with, their energy, one lady has a golden energy that's very slow moving like honey. It's warm. It doesn't move really fast. When she sends her energy to somebody, it kind of just coats them very slowly. My energy goes very fast and just immediately covers somebody, and can cover a house or a state, almost instantaneously, where hers is very slow and warm. Other people, one young lady that I'm working with has this amazing energy. I would love to see it. It's just streamers of light that shoot out of her hands in all different directions the whole time. Very, very active, a lot of energy. Very interesting, but everybody's energy is different. Some will look like a ball, some will look like a glow, some will pulse. Everybody's is different. Allow that. It's okay. And all through the book, just whatever you read, if it makes sense to you, use it. If not, adjust it until it works for you, and it's okay. Never be any hard feelings for me. In fact, I get excited. I get goosebumps. I've got goosebumps now just thinking about it. When people send me an email and say, "Hey Todd, here's what I did. Here's what my energy looks like. Here's what I did with it. Here's how I helped somebody." I love that. It's things that I would never think of. And that's very powerful. When we start to get hundreds and thousands and even more people working like this, imagine the change that can go, the change for great that can go. And I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying this is the only way to do this. This is what works for me. This is what made the difference for me. There's people out there doing Reiki and crystal work and all kinds of things, and all of that is wonderful. I forgot the name of it. For the Chinese with the pins, acupuncture. All those things help, and this is another tool for people to use. And it's what works for me, and I hope it works for others. When you get to your quantum room, one of the beautiful things is you can meditate and really find things out about yourself. I had been searching for my purpose for decades, and I thought that once I knew my purpose, everything would be fine. The world would start to glow. I would have a clear path to success, and it would just be wonderful. And what I found was that when I found my purpose, it did clear things up, but it didn't give me a roadmap. That's for me to find and figure out. But what I do know, and I should have known all along, is that my purpose is to help. I was always, in the military. I went in there because I wanted to help. The different things I do in school, to help. Being on paranormal teams, to help. Studying the energy and working with people, to help. That's my purpose. That's my mission, is to help. And once you find that, while it doesn't just make the sky open up and the angels sing and give you a direct course to what you're supposed to do, it really takes the pressure off you, and you know how to proceed. And that's what I find to be the best part of knowing your purpose is you can align things the way you should. And I'm looking at Caden's notes again. And Caden, thank you for all the things you're writing today. I resonate with that. All my years of training with astral, I had to break away because the way astral is beyond different from my mentors. Yes, and that's a great thing that you're saying is it's different, and now you're finding your way, and you'll do it yourself. And Caden, someday I'd like to talk to you about, if you can send me an email, we can get together on what you've seen when you're astral projecting, and the different things you've run into. Some of the things that I've talked to with people, they see the watching men. I call them the watching men, and what that is something that's about 6 feet tall, very dark. It could be dark blue, dark gray, black. Looks like it has a hat. You can tell it has a face, but you can't see it. Wearing a long coat, and it just seems to watch. Now, there are people that have had kind of sinister interactions with these things, but not always. But that's one of the things people see when the astral project. They see other entities watching them. When I tried to astral project for several years, there was something, and I don't know if it was me or a guide or what, but something was really not wanting me to astral project. And the more I worked on it, the harder I tried, the worse my life would get. Work would get worse. The kids wouldn't be doing the things that they wanted to, or maybe they were having trouble at school, that the family was having a hard time. The harder I tried to do astral projection, the worse my life became. And I don't know what caused that. If it was just something that for my own good, or something that was afraid of me doing it. I never have figured it out. Now, doing this work, I do something similar to astral projection. It's what you call associative astral projection. And that's when you can go find information on things. And I'll just tell you a story about working with some people that do organ transplants. I got a call, and they said, "Hey, we've got a young man that had some organs put into him from a donor." And I'm not going to say their names or where it was or anything. I don't, it's going to be confidential. But we're having trouble. He's not going to make it. It doesn't look good. He's probably not going to make it through the night. So I went in. I invited him into my quantum room, and I don't know his name. I just know that I can go through the person that called, through their energy to this person and do a healing. So I asked this boy to come into my room, and when he got there, he looked tired. He looked like he'd been through the ringer, as you can imagine, needing organs. And so all we did with him, we didn't look for companions. We didn't look to remove anything. We just circled him with the love team, and even some of the warrior team came in to help, filled him up with love till he was looking good. His skin was pink again. He looked strong. He looked healthy. He looked happy. And once we did that, we brought the 7 generations in to work with him, and they came in and gave him lots of energy and love. And then once he was filled up, another child entered the quantum room, and this child was very gray, very sad, very weak, kind of hunched over. And we moved on from the young man that had the transplants to the donor, I believe was the donor. And we just, again, filled this youngster up with love, and building up, getting stronger. He was feeling better. The color came back to him. His energy was better. And once he was completely filled with love and completely filled with energy, it started shooting out of him in different directions. And I believe what that energy was doing was going to his family to help them recover, to help them feel better. They just lost this little boy. They knew that something great happened because of the donation, but they lost a family member, and there was a lot of sadness, a lot of just, so you can imagine how upset you'd be. And so he came in to get healed, but mostly to heal his family. So once that was done and he was shooting the energy out to his family and they were getting better, something in my, I wouldn't say thoughts because this was in the quantum room, but something told me ask his name. And I'm not going to tell you the letter he used, but I'll just say that he said C. What's your name? C. So I'm trying to think of what could be his name. Charlie, Cedric, whatever. I'm coming up with all these names. And he's just kind of smiling at me and shaking his head. C. Kept saying that. And so I just keep trying to figure out a C name. And I thought, okay, this you've let your ego get in the way. This needs to stop. You've done what you came here for. Let's thank both these kids and leave them to their healing. And so I left the quantum room, checked in the next day. The boy that had received the organs was doing great. He was up walking around and would be released in a few days. Completely had a change. And then I said, I don't know if this is something you can share with me, but we also had a child come into the quantum room that I believe was the donor, and I asked the name, and he kept telling me C, and I said, so is it Charlie? Is it Cedric? Is it Surreal? I was trying to dream up any C name I could think of, and this person laughs at me and says, his name is Cece. So he was giving me the answer. I was not interpreting it correctly. And that's why I don't like to do interpretations, because you just don't know what you're going to get. And when I tell the people my interpretation, it may not align with what their interpretation is. An example I can give you is a few years ago, I on my radio show, My Side of the Universe, I had a really wonderful psychic on, and he is good. He's really good. And I had a young lady on the phone, and he was reading everything right. He was seeing stuff dead on, but his interpretation was a problem. He would say, I see this flower, and this is what it means, and this is what it means. And she was trying to tell him, no, that's not what it means. It means this. He says, oh, no. With everybody, it means this. And he just kept doing that. And so she disconnected from the whole thing and kind of got in a fight with him because of his interpretation. Bad thing was he was doing great. He was doing, he was finding the right stuff and receiving the right information. He needed to stop with the interpretation. Funny thing is, I've had him on the show many times since, and he stopped doing that. He no longer tries to interpret. He just lets the people know what he sees, and whatever they figure that is, he lets them have it. And he does a great job. He really does a great job. So I had some great news while I was talking there. Our guest, Ron Johnson, has arrived. We weren't sure how soon he would be here. But he's backstage now, and Todd, if you can, go ahead and send Ron in. Hey, Todd was paying attention. Thank you, Todd. You're the best. Ron Johnson, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How about you? You look great.
Thank you. Thank you. You do too. You look healthy and strong. Now, Ron is in the book Slipstream Shaman, and he is the only person in the book whose actual name is associated with the stories in there. Everybody else, we used a different name so they could stay anonymous, but Ron is okay with his story being told. Ron has had an amazing life. He has been a contactee, and he doesn't really like contactee because he was abducted. It was against his will, so he likes to go with abductee usually when we talk. He's writing a book. He's got a website. And Ron, are you doing a podcast also?
No, I'm just going to do the website.
No podcast. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so his website.
That's your job.
He looks for Bigfoot. Yeah, I'm the one that never stops talking. He searches for Bigfoot. He goes on ghost hunts. He's a busy guy and just a great friend. When I was in another state, I just gotten there, opened up a retail store, and he was one of the first people I met, and he just came in and said, "Hey, I hear you're going to do a radio show about the paranormal. Here's what my experiences are, if I can help you, and I know these people." And next thing I know, he's lining up people for the show, and has continued to line people up for the show over the last 6 years. He's introduced me to some great people who have become friends, and I couldn't thank him more. Ron, thank you for being on today. You're the first guest on this podcast, by the way.
Oh, I'm honored. By the way, I have some more people lined up for you.
I figured you might. Thank you for that. I enjoy the people you find for me, and I can't thank you enough. So, Ron, why don't you tell us about your website? Let's make sure people know about it. What's going on with that website?
Well, I'm still working on it. I still have quite a bit to do to it, but I'm slowly adding tidbits here and there. It's called Path to Eternity. I figured that was a better name than 1 Million Steps. But it's on Google Sites, and it's if you just Google search Travels to Eternity, it's supposed to come up. But I'm
Okay.
putting it together. I'm going to have a section on there about my book I'm writing. Another section is going to be about me. more personal information, stuff like that. And then I will have, I'm going to have different pages, one for EVPs, one for lucid type dreams, dreams that have meaning, just different things like that. And hopefully I can get it.
That's fantastic. And you've had some. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
So you've had some amazing lucid dreams. You've shared with me the different lucid dreams you've had over the years have been just amazing. And when you're having a lucid dream, do you find that they're obviously pretty fun, but do you find them to be very healing? How would you describe a lucid dream?
The way I would describe it, it's almost like an extension of your reality, an extension into consciousness. And they're like you said, they're very fun. You can do what you want to do, and it's almost identical to an OBE, an out-of-body experience. You can actually take a lucid dream and turn it into an out-of-body experience if you want to.
Yes, and that's one of the things for people listening right now. If you have had a lucid dream, when you're in your quantum room, that's very similar to what takes place in a lucid dream. You're almost like a superhero. You can do anything you want. If you want to fly, you can fly. If you want to go underwater and breathe underwater, you can. If you want to fly into outer space and go around, you can. You can do all kinds of things when you're in a lucid dream, or when you're in your quantum room. The sky's the limit. Only limit that you have is any limit you put on yourself. You can really go out and have a great time. And the healing thing is very unusual with a lucid dream. I've only had 3 in my life. The best one happened when I was really working hard on it. It happened to take place in Price, by where you live. And in this dream, I had repeatedly had dreams where I was flying a jet and hit power lines and crashed. And when I was having this lucid dream, again, I started flying a jet, but this time I just went right through the power crash. Looks like we're having a rough connection again. I didn't crash. I didn't die. Like some of my dreams, I kind of died in those crashes, but I just got right through it. And from that day on, I've never had one of those dreams where I hit the power lines. So acknowledging that dream and making a change changed everything for me. I hope everybody's still hearing me, Todd. If I'm still on. Looks like we're losing Ron from time to time. It's kind of a rough day. Todd was saying that there's some very bad winds where he's at controlling this. I'm guessing Ron's in a rough area too. So, but we're going to keep trying to talk with him.
You're silent.
Want to keep up with the latest at the station? How about catch up on your favorite shows on the go? Download the free WLTK-DB mobile app on the App Store and Google Play. Watch, listen, and shop right from the palm of your hand. The WLTK-DB mobile app. The truth is here and now. Get yours today.
So, Ron, welcome back. One of the things that I forgot to tell Todd and our listeners is that Ron is famous for blowing up electronics, and I'm not too far behind him. He is the king of blowing up electronic things, and I'm maybe a duke or something. So between the two of us, I guess I should have expected this to happen. Todd, sorry about this. Hopefully we won't do it anymore, but pretty guaranteed that somehow Ron and I are causing this. And we lost Ron again. There he is.
This has happened many times before to me.
We were on the air one time, and I don't know if you remember this, Ron, but you and I are on the air, and the power goes out in the entire county.
I remember. That
So,
happened
yeah,
to me on
there's
another
something
one.
about us.
That happened on
so
another podcast I did.
Yeah, very common for us to do this. So I'm going to take the full blame, but Ron, I think, gave me extra energy to blow things up. So hey, Ron, if you would, you talked about you're going to have a section of lucid dreaming. Are you going to have a Bigfoot section on that?
I'll have a whole page on it.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to format it. I'll probably have the little links that you press at the top of your website. I'll probably have a link button for that. And I'll probably just have a separate page just for that. But I've got some pretty amazing
earlier in the show. Yes. Early in the show, we were talking about how you were a guy that would go out to super creepy places, places that I felt uncomfortable being in during the day, and you go out there at night by yourself and just hang out, and and just you're out there looking for Bigfoot, and you actually saw Bigfoot one time. Can you tell us about that?
I did. A friend of ours, I don't know if I should mention his name or not, lives in Helper. He had he thought he had a sighting coming home from work one day. So he sent me an email, told me about it, and I told him that in an email that I would go up and search for evidence. And I was up there for 5 days looking, but never really found much. Found some possible prints, but everything was very vague in nature. So on the 6th day, I was in Price and I stopped at my cousin's house. You know who I'm talking about. And
yes,
asked him if he'd like to go up and see where the Bigfoot sighting was. And I didn't have no camera, no equipment, nothing with me. All I had was my vehicle. And so he agreed. We went up there, and sure enough, there he was, about 90 feet off the side of the road, standing there watching us. And didn't have nothing to get a picture with. But I really think Bigfoot has the mental capacity to, I think he can read humans. I think he can read your thoughts. He knows what's going on. He knows if you have cameras or a gun or something like that. Bigfoot doesn't like that kind of stuff.
Yes. And that's what the guy you mentioned, and I'll have to get with him and see if he's okay with us saying his name in the future. But that's one of the things he told me, is that he never goes on a Bigfoot hunt with a gun because they will stay away from him, and he'll never have a chance for an interaction if he's got a firearm with him. Yeah,
agreed. I never take a gun. I've taken people with me before, and they wanted to bring their 7mm Magnum and rifles and stuff like that. And I told them, no, I'm not going to allow it. When you go, all you need is your
and I'm sorry, everybody.
That's it.
Yeah, we're having so much trouble with the connection today, and I want to just thank everybody that stuck with us. I do appreciate it, because sometimes it's hard to stay involved with something when we have this many technical difficulties. Todd's doing a great job keeping us on the air, but there's a lot going on. So thank you for staying, and I'm sorry how choppy it is. I'm in a rough place, and Ron's in a rough place, and it sounds like the studio where we're broadcasting this from might be in a windy area too. That could be a problem. So, but thank you all for staying. Yeah, and so Ron, I feel like there is a connection out there with Bigfoot and certain people, and that they allow themselves to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
I also believe that there's an intelligence with them. I don't think it's just some crazy ape that's evolved differently. That running around. There's theories that the people that disappear in the woods are being grabbed by Bigfoot and eaten. I don't think that's the case. I think there's something that they're intelligent, and that they someday we can even interact with them. I would love to have an interaction.
Oh yeah, you need to. I hope someday you do get that chance, because it'll be a memory of a lifetime. It was for me.
For sure. Yeah.
When I
Ron, we've got another listener on here named Mike, and he says he's flown in a UFO before, and that the travel is a lot different. Now, when you first started being taken, it was all about getting your DNA and that kind of thing. But then it evolved to where they were actually teaching you to fly. Can you tell us about that?
You bet. That was the last abduction or contact I've had with the entity that I call LB. And it's started out the same way. I went to bed, the vertical beam of light appears, and as I watch it, everything turns fuzzy white, and I pass out. And I come to, and I'm in this cubicle up on the ceiling, and there's other humans in other cubicles up there around me. And these are all clear. They look like they're made out of plastic. And I can see down below, these entities are walking around down there. They're pretty busy. And then after a while, the cubicle I'm in slowly descends down to the ground. And the end opens up, and LB is there to greet me. I come out, and he tells me that I need to be inside this cubicle or I would die. So he says, you need to be back in it a little longer. So he puts me back in it. And then I ascend back up to the ceiling. And it wasn't very long. It seemed like it was only a couple of minutes. And then I descended back down. And LB was there again. The end opened up. I walked out. And we walked over to this console in this chair. It's kind of sitting in the middle of this big room. The room is kind of, it doesn't have square corners. It's kind of rounded. There's no square corners at all, no nuts and bolts, nothing. Everything looks as if it's been injection molded. And then LB has me sit down in this seat. And there's indentations and holes in the armrests. And he tells me to put my fingers in them and then to lay my arms in these indentations. And so I do that. And I'm sitting there, and the whole front of the ship, it's like it disappears. And I'm looking out into space. And I can see the earth, kind of down below. And as we're sitting there, I ask LB, I says, what do I do? What do I do next? And he tells me, it's all inside you. Everything is one. It's all inside you. Whatever you want to do, just think of what you want to do and the ship will respond to your every thought. And so I'm sitting there and I go, wow, it's pretty exciting. And so I said, I'd like to go out to deep space and see the Milky Way from a distance. And just before we took off, LB tells me, he says, you're going to feel some heavy G-force at first, but not to worry about it. It won't last long. He says, you'll feel this G-force until we start transversing the different dimensions. And he was telling me that this is the only way they can travel to get from point A to point B is by dimension hopping or traversing the dimensions. He said that's the only way it's done. And so all of a sudden we start accelerating. And Todd, I tell you, you ever been on a really bad roller coaster ride? That's what it was like. It was like a roller coaster ride from hell. And the G-force was so massive, I couldn't stand it. And then all of a sudden, the G-force stopped. And the only way I can describe it was looking out the front of the ship. It was like you take a book and with your hand and thumbs, you just thumb through the pages real fast. That's what it looked like. Every page had a different scenario going on that was outside the ship. And it only took about a second or so, and we come to a stop. And there we are sitting there, and I'm looking at them. I am assuming it's the Milky Way galaxy. I can see it off in the distance. It's just like that picture on my website, but it was about 1/4 that size, what I was looking at on the ship. And I'm just thinking, this defies all physics. You know, how in the heck can you go that far in a second, you know? And so, anyways.
But that's what it would take.
What's that?
That's what it would take. Somehow being able to dimension hop, like you're talking about. That's what something like that would be needed to travel those kind of distances.
Yeah, they're just too far to. It's not like getting in a car and driving to grandma's house. But anyways, we sat there a few seconds. And then he says, we need to get back. So he says, think about going back. And I thought about the same spot that we took off from. And then bingo, just like the snap of a finger, we were back that quick. And I could see the earth off in the distance. And then he told me that it's time that you found out why you are having these experiences. It's time for you to know what's happening to you. And he tells me that I've been chosen from birth to fly a ship like this one to and transport selected chosen human to another dimensional earth, or to another earth in a different dimension. And kind of a cosmic bus driver, I would think. And me and thousands of others like me. Uh-oh, what happened?
I'm back. No, we lost Ron. Holy moly, this is an adventure. Really sorry, everybody.
Are we on?
Ron, we're back. And so Caden is asking, do you know what species abducted you?
No, I don't. It was just all I know about them is that they're a humanoid type. They kind of sort of remind me of a reptilian because they had real rough looking skin, but it wasn't scaly. So they had the 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, a neck, but they definitely didn't look human, but they were a humanoid type. I've had psychics and other people tell me that they were.
So,
what's that? I've had psychics and other people tell me that they were.
I thought we were losing you again.
That they were from Sirius A in the Orion constellation, but I'm not really sure. I've asked them many, many times in my many different contacts with them where they were from, and they would never answer. They would never tell me. But it's all done by consciousness. Consciousness is what controls it. Consciousness, it's almost like a living being, an extension of you. The ship, it's a part of you. Uh-oh, did we lose out again?
If you're a fan of the paranormal world, then you'll love WLTK-DB Talk Radio. Talk shows bringing you the latest on everything paranormal, cryptozoological, metaphysical, true crime, psychic readings, and more. The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTKDB.com.
Hey, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for bearing with us. This has been a tough one. Ron has great stories. I would like to really encourage Mike and Caden. I would love to talk to you guys more after this in the next day or two. If you don't mind, please reach out to me on Instagram or shoot me an email so I can have a way to contact you. You can get me an email at slipstreamshaman.com. There's an email link, or go to Instagram and follow me there, and we'll talk some more. I'd love to hear more of your adventures. I don't know if we're gonna get lost or not. This is getting Todd, you're doing an awesome job keeping us on. I appreciate that. Ron, you're doing a great job. When I disappear, and I probably will again, please continue to talk just like I was there. Okay, you got to keep this going, buddy. If I disappear, it's up to you.
I'm sorry. I thought I was off too.
You probably were. But in the instances where I'm gone and you're staying, go ahead and keep talking.
Okay. We can do that.
Yeah. So, and I'm not sure where we were. Had you finished describing your flight?
I did, but I don't know if I got cut off or not.
Okay.
So you might ask one of the questions they have is if you have telepathic communication with these entities, or is it verbal? It's all telepathic, all of it. Every bit of communication I've ever had with these over the years is telepathic. One time during my healing on my back, they made a real loud screeching type noise. And that was the only time only audible sound they ever made.
Okay. All right. So we've talked about a lot of the things that you've been involved in. We've talked about your website, which is Travels to Eternity, and I encourage people to go see that. And do you have a name for your book yet?
Yes, 1 million steps. I probably should
Well,
reverse
1
it.
million steps.
Travels to eternity, 1 million steps. I'm still in
I like that too.
decision process here. I haven't, it's not set in stone yet. But I got to
Very
hurry
good.
up
You've
because
got
I'm almost
time.
done with the writing.
That's awesome. And that was a big job, and I'm happy you did that. When you in addition to looking for Bigfoot, and you did that for years, and the different adventures you've had with aliens, you also like to go ghost hunting. You do a lot of paranormal investigations, and
Yeah.
you've been on a couple different teams. You've led teams. We've done stuff together. You tend to go places and you find a bear. It's not just ghosts with you. You find Bigfoot, you find a bear, you have all kinds of fun. Is there
Oh, yeah.
or you see a space station break up? You sent me pictures one time of that satellite breaking up that flew right over you.
Right.
So could you tell us about one or two of your let's see, we've got any adventures with the bipedal canine or dogman. Have you ever seen the dogman or anything like that?
No, but I interviewed a man in Price years ago that you know where the dugout coal mine is?
Yes.
He was delivering pizzas up there one night, and he said there was something ran across the road. This was about maybe a quarter of a mile before you get to the mine site. And he said there was something that ran across the road and hopped up the side of it had like a retaining wall, concrete retaining wall. And he said it hopped right up on top of it and took off up the hill. And he said that I asked him did it look like a Bigfoot? And he told me no. He said it was real skinny, had long, skinny arms and legs, and ran very fast. And it scared the living daylights out of him, and he hated going up there ever since. But
that would do it.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe that, but other than long, skinny arms, could be a dog man, but I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, and you're not that far from Skinwalker Ranch. It could be one of the things that they call a skinwalker as well, huh?
Could be. Yeah. I got one of the ranchers up here that I'm good friends with, and he's got part of his ranch is up on top of the Book Cliffs up here above East Carbon where I live. And from where his ranch is up there is only like about 28 miles from the Skinwalker Ranch. And he has a lot of paranormal activity up there. I got some pictures. I'll have to send them to you. They're pretty amazing photos that he took off his security camera.
Yeah, I would love to see that. And you're kind of a local celebrity up there. When they do different things with Skinwalker, you're invited. When there's different UFO things, you're invited. You've talked to multiple producers about different things, different shows and things like that.
Yeah.
You've been very active, but you're also very helpful. Like I was saying earlier, you introduced me to so many people for the radio show, and you say that you've got a new list going. You're just one of those guys that helps everybody. You've helped lots of people with their cars and all kinds of stuff. And I thank you for all the side stuff you do. You're a good citizen. I appreciate that. Your first move is to help somebody. If somebody asks for help, your quick answer is, yeah, I'm going to help.
Yep. If I can, I will.
Yeah. So what are you hoping with the adventures you've had with the aliens? and the training you've had as a pilot. I know Grant Cameron is convinced that you'll be doing something big with that. What are you hoping? How do you hope that transpires as far as piloting one of their ships again?
I hope it happens. I would love to do it. I would. But other than that, I think it's more a divulging in deep into consciousness. Because I think when you leave this earth and you move to the next playing level, these are the type of things that you're going to be doing. You're definitely going to be communicating telepathically because, you know, you're not going to have vocal cords. It's just, I think it's all part of a learning process for your next existence. That's kind of how I'm looking at it right now.
Okay. And I envy you. I've never had the opportunity to pilot one or anything. And you know that I used to joke about I was going to take over a ship, and they made sure that I was convinced that wasn't going to happen.
That'll never happen. I guarantee you.
I know, and I've stopped making fun of it since then.
Right.
One of the things, if you're okay talking about it, is, you know, your health has been a struggle for a while, and you continue to beat the odds. And there's a big story about you in the book. It's the section called Ron. But Ron, if you would, I'd like to talk about the triangle head shaped alien that was trying to kill you. If you could tell us the story about when you were at the hypnosis person and you found out about that. Would you mind sharing that?
Sure, I'd love to. This took place in Lehi, Utah. Well, you know Marley Spinlove? She was the assistant director to MUFON.
Yes.
And she had the paranormal group in Salt Lake that we went to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, one of the paranormal members was a hypnosis therapist. And she suggested that I follow her after the meeting to her place, and she would do a hypnosis session with me to try and find out a little bit more about LB, this entity that I've had contact with. So I agreed, and when we got there, I sat in that big overstuffed chair that these people seem to like to use. And she put me under, and we started talking about LB. We didn't get much into it. We didn't get very far into it. And then all of a sudden, everything just stopped. I did not think that these entities could try to enter into you through a hypnosis session, but they do. And it was a great big, it was like 6 foot tall, maybe a little taller, had a triangle shaped head, big black eyes, and, you know, small mouth, long skinny arms, 3 fingers. And this thing, and when it came in, it just totally stunned me. It just, the whole hypnosis session stopped for me. And all I could see was this triangle head entity. And it did not have a good feeling at all. It felt like it wanted me dead. It wanted to kill me. And so I sat there, and then I started yelling and carrying on, trying to keep it from getting me. And then she brought me out of the session, and that's as far as we got with it. And ever since then, things were just going bad for me. Everything, my health, bad luck with cars, bad luck at work, everything. It was just a big bad omen. It was trying to, I think it was trying to destroy me.
Yes.
But it came through during the
and
hypnosis.
and you had what's called an ab reaction where you just freaked out during the session and started yelling, right?
Oh yeah, and I almost went over the back of the overstuffed chair that she used, because I just stiffened up like a board and just almost went clear over backwards. And she had to keep me from doing that.
Yeah. And then a few years after that, when you were really having the heart trouble, and I was working on healings for you, during one of those sessions, there was a spot of my quantum room that opened up and looked like a window, and there that thing was staring at me. And I didn't have much time. It hit me with something. I don't know if it was just like a brain, a thought. It hit me with something that actually knocked me out. And I went back in that same day, tried to get after this thing again, and it knocked me out twice. So I'm in a place where I'm a superhuman. And I thought nothing could affect me, nothing could hurt me, nothing could bother me. And this thing knocks me out twice in one day. And I call you the next day and I tell you, hey man, this is what I found. And that was when you told me the story about the triangle head. We've called him Triangle Head ever since.
Right.
But that's when you told me about this entity, and I didn't know about it. And I'm not going to say much more. It's the longest story in the book. It does have a pretty good ending for Ron. But I won't talk too much about your health, Ron, but you have beaten the odds. You have lived for about 6 years where no doctor thought you would. You've continued to not just live, but there's times where you're outright thriving. I see the pictures you're posting, and you've had enough energy to write a book. You've done amazing things on what a doctor would tell you is a heart that shouldn't be allowing you to do these things.
Yeah. They told me that it was July of last year that there's no way you can live past that. That is the end for you. And here it is over a year. And I feel fine. I got a new heart medication that they're giving me that has just done miracles for me. And I get out, I go out there and take videos, take my train videos. And I love video on trains.
Yes.
Love that. And that's one thing I do also, besides ghost hunting. But anyways, I go out and do that kind of stuff. And I go out and do my photography. And I love it. And I feel like
absolutely.
This is a miracle. I feel like it's almost like a healing.
Yeah. And it's one of I'm so happy I was a part of it with you.
I appreciate what you did, because I've never had any trouble with him since. He's gone out of my life forever.
That's the plan. That was the plan with that guy, and I'm glad that your body's holding up, and I'm just thankful, because the world's a better place with you than without you. So I'm very, very happy that you're still around. Now, I want just to let people know, Ron always worries that he's going to do a terrible job on these kind of interviews, and as everybody can see, you do a great job on these things. So I'm glad that you were feeling good enough to be here, and you do a great job. Ron, what would you, if everything was perfect in your life, where would you like to go investigate? Is there a paranormal place that you would just love to go see?
Yes. The Paris catacombs, and maybe the castles throughout Europe, Western and Eastern Europe. But
Yeah.
mainly the catacombs of Paris. I would love to do some EVP sessions down there. I don't
Without
really
question.
do ghost hunting anymore per se, like we used to do, like what they
Yes.
used to do on Ghost Hunters. I
Mhm.
mainly just do EVPs now.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, that's mostly what you find is EVPs. But that is what a great answer. Those catacombs. What an incredible place that would be to go to. Uh, you know, with they talk about if the walls could talk. You think about the DNA energy, the generational energy, all the things that are in those catacomb walls. Holy moly, that is awesome.
It is, all the bones. There's supposed to be over 6 million people buried in those catacombs. And just think if every cell had consciousness, what would they
Yes.
say?
What would they say?
It would take a
Exactly. And
lifetime
can
just
we
to
talk?
listen to them.
Yeah, 6 million. That's crazy. Caden, that's listening, would like to do the pyramids. Another great one.
God, yes.
That would be fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. My place has always been Easter Island, and I don't know why that's such a draw for me, but Easter Island has been calling me for decades. And one of these years, I'm going to get out there. I almost went, and then the pandemic messed everything up.
Yeah.
And hopefully I can reschedule that and do that. So yeah, the catacombs. What a great answer. And I never would have thought of that, but what an amazing answer. And I'm curious how those all started, how they, why they decided to do that, the work involved in putting that many bones down there, and you have to put them somewhere or destroy them or do whatever.
Yeah.
What a cool thing to do, I think. My concern, as I'm listening to that, is what if those things do still have a conscious and they've got bugs crawling on them, and maybe they're sitting next to somebody they hate. Hopefully they're there with their friends and family and they're enjoying it.
When you go down there, just don't touch them.
No. Yeah. Well, and they're probably, I'll bet those tunnels aren't good for you. You're like 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
And I'll bet those tunnels are probably like 5.5 or something. You're going to have to take a skateboard down there and just ride on it or something.
Yeah. Some of them, there's a lot of them that you have to get on your belly and crawl through them. I wouldn't want to do that. Too big of a chance getting stuck.
Oh, the nightmares getting stuck down there. I can't even imagine it. So what do you have an ETA on when your book's going to come out? Do you have a goal date?
Well, I wanted the writing done by last weekend, but I still have one more chapter to finish. So I'm going to give it, I'm going to try my best to get this thing out done within a month. I've been dragging this out too long now, and I need to get it finished.
You've done an amazing job. That's a huge work. Have you picked out a cover yet?
Yeah. There's a road that
covers.
Well, you remember Derek, don't you? My friend Derek.
Yes.
UPI guy.
Mm-hmm.
We went out on the West Desert to Gold Hill, the old ghost town. And we did some picture taking, and then we did some mine exploring. And there's a road that leads to it that is, it just looks like it goes forever. And then it goes up to this mountain and this cliff, and that's my cover. And then
I love that.
Yeah. It doesn't have a UFO on it or anything like that, but I could probably, place one on there somewhere.
It doesn't need it. It doesn't need it. That's a great cover.
It doesn't need that. And then it'll say 1 million steps. And then at the bottom, from here, Travels to Eternity and Forward by Grant Cameron is what the cover will say.
Nice. Yeah. Love it.
I would like
That's going to be strong. I can't wait till that comes out.
For it too.
I will. I'm going to make a note and I'm going to get something to you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'd like to get you and Mike Cleland, the Owl Man. Did you ever interview him?
I did. Yeah. You introduced me to him and I had him on.
Okay.
And he was a very good interview. And you were saying that he was helping you quite a bit with your book.
He is. He's helping me tremendously. I owe him a lot.
Yeah, he's put out several books, and I'm really glad he's helping you with that. Good guy. So, and then what would you? I believe we've had this conversation when you've been on the ships, when they've taken you. What have you seen besides traditional aliens? Did you see or feel? And I'm trying to remember if you told me this, that there was a Bigfoot on it as well.
Not a Bigfoot. In my the time they took me and healed my back from that accident I was in, there were humans intermixed with the aliens, and they were all wearing white lab coats. It reminded me of a mill lab setup. But I've had encounters with them type of humans, and also humans that were like me. They were taken, and like they were waiting in another room until they get finished with you, and then they go get another one. And in those two aspects, those are the only other beings I've seen other than grays or other types of aliens, entities. The one I had in Hawaii.
I'm curious.
The abduction I had in Hawaii when I was living in Hawaii in 1997 had 6 gray aliens in it. They were grays, but they had a light blue hue color to them. They weren't gray. They were actually light blue color. And that's just one of I've encountered 8 different types of beings in my life, and that was just one other type, the blue grays.
Blue grays, okay. And when you saw the other people, was there anything? Did anything stand out to you, like saying, "Wow, there seems to be this part"? You know, that maybe they want tall men, maybe they want blonde women or whatever. Was there anything that stood out with the people that made it look like there was a type of person they were grabbing?
No, it was every type possible. You had Orientals. There were blacks and whites. every race, every nationality, from child to the elderly. It didn't matter. They had them all.
Yeah. One of our listeners, Mike, says their skin reminds me of a wax.
Yeah. It had a waxy feel to it, but the entity that Elby that I was in contact with had real rough skin. Like you would take a grinder and grind on a piece of wood, and then it gets all rough. It was like that, but it did have a waxy feel to it, kind of a slick feeling. It was quite different.
I would imagine. And during your interactions with these different aliens, have you ever had a feel for what their home planet might be like? Has it ever shown you that or talked about it, or did you just like see it, have a vision of it?
I did. Actually did. I had a dream one night. Well, after my last encounter with Elby, flying the ship, he told me that he would come to me from now on in a dream and talk to me that way. There would be no more physical contact. It would be done in either an OBE, an out-of-body state, on this dimension or on another vibrational plane. And I've had many with them since. But I forgot what I was talking about.
If you'd seen their planet, or if you'd had a vision of the planet.
He came to me in a dream once, and he showed me what his planet looked like, and I drew a picture of it, a great big picture. I'll send you a copy of it. I'll email it to you, and it's just a bunch
Love
of
to see that.
It kind of reminded me of southern Utah, parts of New Mexico. The sandstone rocks down in Canyonlands and the maze.
Okay.
That's kind of what it reminded me of. But I didn't really see any sand. It was all rock, no plants, no water. But it was just one part of this realm that he showed me. And I tried to draw it the best I could. Now, like I said, I'll send you a copy of it. Maybe I'll put it on Facebook.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I would love to see that. Now, you are not an amateur artist by any means. You can draw things that look just like the animated cartoons. You're very, very good at art, and so I'm sure that this representation that you've drawn of what you've seen is accurate, because I've seen your work when you're drawing cartoons, freehand.
Yeah, that's what that was my dream, was to be an animator. I wanted to work for either Disney or Hanna-Barbera, one of them places, when I was growing up. And my dad pushed me into being a mechanic, and that's what I ended up being. But after I had my accident and had my back surgery, and the judge told me that you are now retired forever, I had a chance to go to rehab, and I was going to go and take some animation classes at BYU for 4 years. And I was all set. I was excited, and I was going to fulfill my dream. And then I got a letter from vocational rehab, and they told me that, sorry, but we feel that you're not going to be employable. So we're not sending you to animation. And that killed me. I just wanted to lay down and die. I did. But
yeah, so close to your dream, and then to have it yanked out from under you. What years would you have gone there, Ron? When was this?
that would have been probably 2008, 2009, 10 and 11. It would have probably been those years.
Okay. All right. I was hoping you were going to say more, a little bit older than that, and you'd have been there when Napoleon Dynamite went through and did cartoon animation, and I was going to cry because you could have introduced me to him as well. So yeah. I'm kind of glad that it was a little bit later, so I didn't miss out. So yeah, that's heartbreaking, buddy. I'm sorry you missed out on your dream. So we're just about done here, Ron. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about today?
Other than, well, let's see. We only got, 9 minutes?
We do.
What would you like to talk about?
You turned it on me again. I think you've done this to me before. I wish that you could, right now your lungs just don't have it in you, but you and I went Bigfoot hunting one time, and we had a couple other people with us, and you started doing Bigfoot calls. And it was one of the scariest things I ever heard in my life. You would do this very loud scream, and I can only imagine, where we were, that sound would have traveled a long way. There was probably people 5+ miles from us hearing that and packing up their gear and running. So I just want people to know that at one time you had the loudest, most terrifying thing. Yeah, let's hear it.
What's that?
Yes, tell us the story.
Oh, okay. Derek and I and Christina, his wife at the time, we were up at, where Merker Cemetery is in Tooele?
Absolutely.
County?
Yes.
Okay, we were up there, and we were going to do a ghost hunt, do some EVPs up there. We got there like 10 o'clock at night, and there was people already there, like 12 people, a couple cars. And so we said, we got to get these people to move. So we went over up onto the side of the hill, and I let out a couple of my Bigfoot screams. And it wasn't long. They got in their cars and they left. And then we had the whole cemetery to ourselves.
I don't doubt that. So yeah, for those of you that don't know Utah very well, Merker Cemetery is in the West Desert in Utah, and it's not that far from Dugway, which is now being called Area 52. There's a lot of things being tested there, and you'll see it mentioned on Ancient Aliens quite a bit. I was out there one night with the Paranormal team, and we saw a UFO coming across the valley. We were on Merker Cemetery, and Merker Cemetery is all that's left of the town of Merker. It was a mining town 100+ years ago, and now where the town was is part of a mining pit, but the cemetery is still there, and you can access it, and it's a crazy place. Great for EVPs. You see things that you wonder what you just saw. There's things in the sky you can't explain. There'll be lights just flashing, and then only flashing once or maybe every 5 minutes in the sky. But we watched a UFO come across that valley to us, and it was less than 100 yards away, less than 100 feet high, made no noise at all, had this crazy light coming out of it straight down, gets to the mountain and disappears. It's just gone. And there's 4 of us there. 3 had digital cameras. I didn't have one, but 3 of the other 3 did. nobody thought to turn a camera on this thing. We were too busy swearing and pointing. And so when people talk about,
happened.
well, why isn't there more pictures? That's not what you're thinking about when it happens. You're in such shock and awe that you're just watching it. And not one of us thought to turn a camera on it. And 3 of us had cameras in our hands.
Yeah. It's like when you see Bigfoot for the first time, you don't know whether to crap your pants or wind your wristwatch. But
well, you know what? You probably need to do both.
You need to talk to Derek. He had a UFO
Derek?
sighting out of Merker, a good one.
Ah, very good. Yeah, I haven't talked to him in a while. I will. One other thing before we go is I want to tell people what a prankster you are. So in the Price area, I had this thing that I called the Bigfoot tree. Another one of our friends was doing different things, putting trinkets out. And Ron had a place where he was putting stuff in rocks. But we were doing different things to get to see if there was some kind of interaction. And I had some coins in a tree. It was on a fairly thick branch, about 7 feet up, and the branch went straight out. So I put the coins there just to see what would happen. And every time I checked on it, something was going on. Sometimes they were there, sometimes they weren't. Of the 5, I think I had 5 coins there. Sometimes I could only find 2 of them or 1 of them. And then the next time I come up, there's more. And I go up there one day, and Ron knew the general area of where this was, and he says, "What are you doing today?" I said, "Oh, I'm just getting ready to go up to the Bigfoot tree." So I get up to that tree, I park, and because of the condition of the road, I couldn't park real close to it. And you'd have to walk 100 yards off the dirt road anyway. But I park, and I'm walking up this dirt road, this beat up dirt road in the middle of nowhere. Nobody's around me. And this growl starts. There's some trees that I'm almost halfway between these trees and my car, and something is in the trees growling. And I freeze, and I don't know whether to stand and fight, turn and run. I wasn't sure what to do, but I was frozen there, probably turning pale. And Ron comes out from behind those trees with this camera, and he's just snapping as many pictures as he can of me standing there scared out of my mind. I almost threw a rock at you.
Yeah, you probably should have.
But you got me pretty good. I will never forget that.
I won't either. I've told that to a lot of people.
Not a chance. All right. Oh man. So we're just about done. I would like to encourage people to go to Ron's website, Travels to Eternity, and be watching for his book when it comes out in the next few months. And I'll make a note of it on here and at my website when yours comes out as well. So thank you, Ron. I really appreciate you being on, and it's always a blast to talk to you.
Oh, well, thank you. I sure appreciate it. Being the first one on here, that's awesome. I like it.
Yeah. We're going to, and you were, I'm trying to remember if you were the first one, you were the first one in studio, and you've been on the most, and I'm trying to remember if you were the first local guest. It was either you or PJ. And
I think PJ was before me.
But yeah, you were one of the first ones, and so PJ was first and you were second. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. So again, Ron, thank you so much. We'll definitely have you on here again. And I would like to really thank everybody that was listening today. Special thanks to Caden and Mike for all their input. And please, guys, reach out to me, Caden and Mike. Please let me know a way to contact you. I'd like to talk to you more, either through my email, slipstreamshaman@gmail.com, or if you go to Instagram and follow me there, and I'll get with you that way. So thanks everybody for listening. We'll be back next week. And Ron, thank you so much. And we'll see everybody again real soon on Slipstream Shaman, Quantum Healing, and Beyond.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.